This is the pattern. I am using cotton woven fabric for the out and inside of the box. And I have already decorated the top and some of the sides with a textile print. To make the box a little bit sturdier, I'm going to have fleece fabric in between and also cardboard paper. I am also going to decorate with some hearts, so I have cut these pieces and I lay them right sides together. I sew with the seam allowance of a half of a centimeter, and then I make a notch in the heart and I trim away excess fabric. Then I pull on the fabric like this and I cut a small hole on one of the sides, which will be on the back. Turn the right sides out and try to make it neat and tidy on the edges. Fill them with some pillow filling, and then I'm going to hand sew these hearts on the sides. I am using embroidery thread and embroidery needle, and I'm going to sew with a blanket stitch all the way around. I have started with a knot on the thread, and that will be on the back side. And then I start with the blanket stitch. Fasten the thread on the back side with a knot. This is going to be the lid, so I laid the fleece fabric towards the wrong side of the lid, and then I lay the lining fabric right sides together, pin it, sew with a half of a centimeter in seam allowance but leave two sides open. Trim away any excess fabrics on the corner. Once you have turned the right sides out, you can insert the cardboard paper. You might have to trim it a little bit so it will fit. On this side I'm folding the seam allowance towards the center and I'm pinning this side. The top side is going to keep being open, and then I sew with a blanket stitch. This is going to be the side in the back of the box, and you do it in the same way with the fleece and the lining fabric. It's now right sides together, and you pin and sew these opposite sides. Turn the right sides out, press it. Lay it right sides together with the lid, and as you can see I have only one of the seam allowance towards the lid, and I sew this with the machine. Now you can insert the cardboard paper. On the other sides of the box you can do in the same way, but you should leave the bottom side open. This bottom piece I need the seam allowance on the outside, so I'm just going to leave the fleece in between and I sew with a straight stitch around it, but leave an opening so you can insert the cardboard paper. And now it's time to fasten all the sides. So I lay them right sides together with the bottom piece, and I sew with only one of the seam allowances and with a straight stitch. The lining fabric, you need to insert the seam allowance and hand stitch this with a slip stitch so you can't see the seam. So do that all the way around. And now it's time to make the box. So you fold all the pieces upwards, and then I'm going to hand sew them with a blanket stitch on the sides. On the lid I'm going to make some closing with some buttons hanging down as a weight. And as you see I'm using the same embroidery thread, and I have some buttons already on the thread, and now I'm fastening it towards the lid. Decide how long you want these to hang down, and then you turn them inside the loop. And then you make a knot on the thread where you want your buttons to hang. And now your box is finished. Fill it with memories.